I am Daksh. I'm the founder of Blub World magazine. And the focus of this magazine is basically to find out teenagers who are doing inspiring work in their life and sharing their work with other teens. To put it in one statement, it's teens inspiring teens. And from time to time, we try to create industry white papers around the K-12 sector, which is basically schools. And since this lockdown began, the whole education ecosystem and primarily the schools are facing the challenge of a lifetime and experiencing solutions of a lifetime. And ये दोनों चीजें करते हुए they are actually right now writing history. Because इस समय पे आप जो observe कर रहे हैं and what you're seeing around yourselves is basically a big experiment in education. और शायद ये टेक्नोलॉजी और जो edtech platforms and the kind of change that has appeared in the whole sector, अगर ये evolution के pace पे होता तो काफी धीरे होता. इस कोविड ने टिपिकली 10 सालों को आपको शायद लॉकडाउन के पहले 10 दिनों में जीने पे मजबूर कर दिया और 10 दिनों में टेक्नोलॉजी ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन came into the whole education sector. So since the lockdown began, Blub World started to build a platform which we called the Blub World Web Talks, which was basically a series of virtual roundtables where we tried to interact with the maximum school leaders from across the world to know their opinions, ideas, perceptions, observations, and innovations in schools that they were doing, trying to do, or were hoping to do for a long period of time. Because educationists के लिए this is a golden time when you can actually experience experiments being accepted and becoming a part of life. दुनिया में ऐसा बहुत कम बार होता है कि the whole society around you is receptive to change. They're ready to listen to what you're saying and they're ready to experiment. And this is that one time कि जब आपके आसपास सब जने आपको सुनने को तैयार हैं और आपके experiments को experiment करने को तैयार हैं. So this is the time, if you ever had a dream in education, experiment it right now. Because ये जो 4 walls जिसमें हम सब बंद हैं have given us a lot of liberty to do a lot of things. So let's use this liberty. And इसी को use करते हुए Blub ने ये platform बनाया. And I'm very, very happy to welcome all of you to the 63rd episode of the Blub World Web Talks. In the last 62 episodes, nearly more than 700 school leaders have participated till now and shared their opinions from more than 70 plus geographies from around the world. And we have documented some of the best ideas that we have got. And we are continuously sharing those on our social media and on our magazines ताकि आप उसे अपने ecosystems में experiment कर सकें and you can actually tell कि इसकी viability, longevity कितनी है. And ये वो time है जब actually पूरी education space को education के अलग-अलग segments पता पड़ने लगे. We now know what's curriculum, what's pedagogy. We know how does presentation matter, how does teaching matter. ये सारे silos पता तो थे, पढ़े तो थे, but real life में उनको हमने experience कर लिया. So first of all, a very warm welcome to all of you and thank you so much for taking out the time to be here. As we do it in every web talk, we try to get 1 or 2 experts who are not from the K-12 sector. क्योंकि एक तो हम अपना ज्ञान खुद मनन करते हैं कि we try to listen to our peers. And there's one time when we try to listen to visionaries कि भाई दुनिया में लोग सोच क्या रहे हैं. So I hope we have 2 amazing visionaries with us today who will share their ideas, opinions and experiences with us on education. So again, a very warm welcome and a very thank you. So before I start, the topic for today is tech really teaching? अब technology हमारी जिंदगी का part तो हो गई. अब वो कितना अच्छे से उसे हम use कर पा रहे हैं या वो हमें use कर पा रही है is typically the time to know. I hope you enjoy the next 20-30 minutes. So the profiles of the speakers for today have already been shared with you, a brief profile. So I won't be introducing them with, long lines. You can actually go and see the profiles that have been shared. And I would invite them one by one. So we have a special guest today who will be typically sharing his experience on how technology is impacting early childhood. अभी सारे schools ने बहुत सारे solutions आपके senior classes के लिए तो निकल गए और वो बच्चे receptive भी हैं. बट सबसे बड़ा चैलेंज जो है वो प्री स्कूल ऑपरेट करने में है, प्री प्राइमरी को ऑपरेट करने में है. सो हाउ यू कैन एक्चुअली टैकल दोस चैलेंजेस, तो उसके लिए वी हैव अ स्पेशल गेस्ट टुडे. आई वुड लाइक टू वेलकम मिस्टर आशीष जालानी, ग्लोबल सीटीओ एंड मैनेजिंग डायरेक्टर इंडिया फॉर स्क्वायर पांडा. So Ashish ji, over to you for the introduction.
Sure, thank you so much, Daksh, and thanks for having me on Blub World. So yeah, we come from the preschool sector and been in the ed tech space, and you're absolutely right. I just want to start off by saying COVID really sped up the whole process of acceptance of a product like ours, or even the acceptance of EdTech in early childhood learning, right? This was our biggest challenge since last 4 years that we've been in existence, that convincing the schools, the educators, et cetera, that technology can play a large part to help educate the child. And not from the perspective of replacing the teachers, but as a tool to help the teacher possibly understand the latest and the greatest, use that to properly personalize the teaching for each child that's sitting in that classroom, right? Some of these teachers have 20 kids, some of them have 30, some of them may even have more. And EdTech really helps them, try to get that journey a little bit more personalized for that teacher. So honestly, the way we look at it is very simple, right? Education for these preschoolers has to be, they have to be learning while playing. It cannot be the standardized way of teaching them. And this is something that's widely accepted today. So the way we look at it is it's edutainment. Everything that is delivered is in small sizes, small bites, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, nothing big. These kids don't have the attention span to sit in front of a digital device for that long to even go through the whole thing. They need physical interaction. So everything is kind of divided into small bites. The other concept that we think plays a huge role, and especially in these young kids' lives, is our characters, right? You see how relatable these characters on TV or comics or anywhere are, right? And these children really connect to them. They wear the clothes that these characters wear. They act like those characters. They jump around like those characters. So the other way we look at it is you have to have a character or a set of characters that are engaging and where the children connect to them, right? And the way we look at it, I'll give you an example of a character the way we look at it. So like, for instance, we use a panda, right? Panda is this rounded, very awkwardly walking character. And it's actually cool for the kids. He falls down once in a while teaching the child, and the child laughs, right? That's the kind of engagement we want to bring with that child. It's not only about learning, but while they're learning, are they really connecting, right? Adding music, adding humor. It's funny, we may not think about it, but humor plays such a large role in engagement with these young children. When you make a joke, and the character is laughing, so are the children. And you can actually see that in these studies in classrooms or outside at homes even, right? So making sure that you have humor as part of the education, it's not just a straight out, we sit in front and we just talk, right? It has to be very engaging for these children. The other way we think that really gets these children, and I think to answer your question, is technology really teaching? Technology is not teaching. Technology is just a medium, right? What's actually teaching is all the research and the hard work a lot of the teachers have put in to understand what the teaching methodologies are. All we're doing is simply translating that to a medium that can be delivered to the kids digitally, right? So the other thing that we look at is, can we build incentives for these young kids, right? Do they have something they can walk away with, or maybe a simple star, right, that they get? And even when they get it in a classroom, they get a star on their hand. They're very happy. They come home and show their parents, look, I got a star in my class today. But being able to bring that classroom into the digital space is how we look at it, but adding the whole entertainment as a piece of it. So that's from experience, by the way. We're in about 3,500 schools in the US. And I'm telling you from the experience, the teachers find the product as something that helps them. It is never looked at as a product that would replace them. And neither should EdTech be looked at as. And I've been saying this in every forum that I've been, that it has to be a blended model. There is no such thing as a full digital model. Even when today we're at home, besides the digital EdTech solutions out there, you have the Zoom calls or whatever the video calls that the teacher has to do with the child, right? So, the blended model still has to exist. One of the biggest concerns that we see, by the way, and I'll try to wrap it up with that, is the whole thing with balancing screen time that currently parents, teachers, governments, everybody seems to have an issue with. Honestly, if you look at today's world and you look at how young a child picks up a phone and starts to use it, that screen time will come naturally, by the way, regardless if we bring EdTech or not. They actually absorb EdTech much faster. The second is the way the small size of the bytes are made in EdTech today helps you limit that screen time for the child. They don't need to be there for an hour, right? Can they be there for 15, 20 minutes on these EdTech products and really use these in these trying times actually at home, right? The teacher can actually guide the parent on how to use this product. And that's one of the things we're exploring right now is with some of these preschool chains, is that our product is at home with the parent, right? All the teacher does is to guide the parent and say, okay, just do this, right? Because rest of the things the product would do, right? So, you know, trying to balance the screen time has been the big challenge. And I think everybody's right. I mean, my kids are older, but you know, that's a concern I would also have if I had a young child that they're glued to the digital screens today. So just kind of ending, Daksh, yes, technology does play a huge role in teaching, but I don't think it is teaching. It's the pedagogy, like you said, it's the curriculum, all built by teachers and researchers that is actually teaching. Just the medium has changed today.
Thank you so much, Ashish ji. To summarize what all you said, that convincing the schools was the biggest challenge, and right now it's the other way around, actually finding the right edtech solution for a school, because now schools are on the lookout, not edtech companies.
Yep.
Edutainment is the solution. Thoda sa education, thoda sa entertainment, that has to be there because attention spans chote hain and बहुत fickle-minded हैं, तो क्योंकि बच्चे हैं, as simple as that. And small bite-sized content, because timed content, timed assignments is something that has worked wonders. There's one school, I think in Agra, they shared a very nice idea. They've been doing something called speed assignments. बच्चों को assignment देते हैं, they have to finish in the next 7 minutes. And they've done amazing, you know, laps of these timed assignments, and बच्चों ने बहुत उसको enjoy किया है. And characters actually are a big part of life. We all correlate to stories easily because we as humans relate to story bias. हम वैसे ही सोचते हैं, and we are very, very easily attracted towards characters. So characters teach us better rather than actual teachers. And teaching with the cuteness of a panda, वो बिल्कुल सही है, क्योंकि आप प्री स्कूल में जब हैं तो colors बहुत मैटर करेंगे, shapes बहुत मैटर करेंगी, and the humor again a very big factor coming in, क्योंकि अब you know, once a child looks at a screen like this with the teacher on screen and other students on the screen, तो teacher का comparison किसी celebrity से हो रहा होता है, because I'm looking at a TV. So if I'm looking at a screen, I should actually see a celeb. तो उस point पे teacher की presentation skills पे question mark आ जाता है. But yes, people have been growing and काफी अच्छे से grow कर रहे हैं. And building incentives for them to learn, teachers not being replaced but being helped, that's for sure. अब technology से typically what I can say, डरना छोड़ दिया गया है. अब technology से डर किसी को नहीं, बस right now they're trying to find a way to handle it.
Absolutely.
And blended learning is the final solution कि वो होना ही है, क्योंकि पूरा tech भी नहीं होगा, पूरा physical भी नहीं होगा, पूरा digital classroom भी नहीं होगा, पूरा physical भी नहीं होगा, एक phygital classroom hoga. So let's see how does that actually shape up. Thank you so much, Ashish ji, for adding that perspective. Now moving on to the next guest, and before I invite him, there's first of all a very thank you so much, sir, for serving the country for such a long time. And जिस perspective को add करने के लिए हमने उन्हें बुलाया है, which is something थोड़ा सा सबको alien लग सकता है, and but what we wanted to talk about was he has seen or typically worked, what we could understand from the profiles that we could read about him. He has worked on behavioral change. And abhi, the whole community which we are interacting with, सारे बच्चे, parents, teachers, सबके साथ में बहुत major behavioral changes आ रहे हैं. So what does he think that will change, or how will we adapt to the change? Let's listen to the next guest for today. Is Colonel Sudip Mukherjee, who's a human behavior scientist, founder, director, anchor, NLP, former Colonel, Indian Army. Sir, over to you for the next 3 minutes. You can unmute your audio.
Thank you, Daksh. And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. And thank you, Ashish, for the wonderful introduction that you did for this, workshop. I work with people, and that includes from children to adults. And technically, I'm not supposed to be here, like Daksh brought out. I don't work with schools, but I work with people, and people are people. COVID has, as Ashish and Daksh both brought out, accelerated the changeover that was bound to happen anyway. Where we need to find the correct mix or the correct blend, as Daksh pointed out, is the human interaction is what teaches us. technology is just a guide. It's just an aid. If I ask any of you what was your favorite subject in school, I can give it a guarantee is because you liked that teacher. It was not because you liked the subject, it was because you liked the teacher. Even now, anybody saying, and this is a very important aspect, which not only impacts your school life, but it impacts the rest of your life. So for example, you start liking maths, you will go into the field which has maths, like engineering or something like that, and that depends on that one person teaching you maths maybe in class 5. So that's how important teachers are, and that's where teachers will face a big problem now, because to hold the attention of a child for a period of time for 40 minutes over a screen which occupies just less than a foot is very, very difficult. So therefore, what needs to happen is teachers need to figure out different means of delivery, of scaling, and for sustaining effective teaching practices. EdTech will only provide a support for good teaching practices. It cannot obviate ineffective instructional strategies. If you can't teach, please don't expect EdTech to cover up for you. That's not going to happen. So as school leaders who are here, I think the onus is on you to be more proactive and help the teachers make this transition. It's a lot of people will have difficulty in trying to change over the way they are used to doing a certain thing. But unless you push it or unless you drive it, that's not going to happen. Unfortunately, even today, in most of the places, the responsibility of education lies with the school and not that of the parents. The parent says, "हमने school में fees दिया है, अभी आप इसको पढ़ाओ," right? Which is okay to a certain extent, because the responsibility of nurturing the child rests with the parents as well. But the teachers have a greater responsibility to ensure that the child becomes a good citizen. And what will make him interested is, like Ashish pointed out, humor. Because oxytocin secretion of the brain leads to learning. And oxytocin secretion will happen when there is engagement. Engagement will happen when the teacher talks about something that the student wants to listen. You ask any student whether he would want to know what is the capital of Nicaragua, he will obviously say no. Or where the hell is Tierra del Fuego on the map of the world, he'll say no, he's not interested. The question is, how do you make him interested? How do you ensure that with depleting attention spans, you are able to make that person interested in doing something that he normally wouldn't want to do? So I think the responsibility or the degree of difficulty of being a teacher has increased because of this digital, whatever is happening in the world. You talked about attention span. The attention span of humans is 8 seconds as of now. So if you do not engage the child in the 9th second, you've lost him. He's gone into his dream world of Chota Bheem or whatever he goes into. Right? It's okay for adults, because adults they know that they have something to lose. The child has nothing to lose. He has nothing to lose. So therefore, the fear circuit cannot be engaged to make him learn. It has to be the reward circuit. And that reward circuit will only come into play if you give him something that he wants to know. And therefore, the engagement of the teacher with the students has to increase multifold from what it used to be in the classroom. Another problem which you have in interactions is when you talk to a person, you look into their eyes, And that's when, a child learns important you will be, because you have a very, very important job, and that is to direct children to their dreams, because their dreams depend on whether they like you or not, and you have to be liked. So we talk, the joke is that when you're on a Zoom call, yeah, thanks, we first hand seen. So I'll just wind up quickly. Is in Zoom call we talk about wearing a shirt and shorts and chappals, and cutting onions while doing the call. As teachers, you can't afford to do that. You have to be 100% on. You have to keep watching the faces of all the students to figure out who's going into their dream world. And I'll end by saying that I do not envy you. I think it's a very, very difficult job that you have on your hands, and all the best to you. I'm sure that you will come up trumps. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Colonel Sudip Mukherjee. Thank you so much for that amazingly humorous, engaging session. And change absolutely got accelerated. COVID ने बहुत अच्छे से कर दिया. Human interaction teaches us, which is very important, because marketing and sales and business end पे एक बहुत important चीज बार-बार बोली जाती है, that humans buy from humans. And I think teaching में वही है कि we learn from humans only. हम लोग concept से शायद बहुत ज़्यादा नहीं सीखेंगे, किताबों से भी नहीं सीखेंगे. We'll only learn from humans. And favorite subject comes from the favorite teacher and not the content. So again, टीचर का क्रिटिकलिटी हमेशा के लिए एस्टैब्लिश है, तो किसी भी टीचर को रिस्क नहीं फील करना चाहिए, कुछ नहीं होने वाला, you're gonna be there, you're gonna stay forever, nothing's gonna change. एंगेजमेंट अब चेंज होगा. एंड बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट एक चीज जो आपने कही कि अब फियर सर्किट काम नहीं कर पाएगा, जिसको हमने हमारी पुश्तों से यूज किया है और अभी भी यूज करते आ रहे हैं, एंड उसको पूरे सिस्टम से बाहर निकाल के रिवॉर्ड सर्किट लाना इज व्हाट वी आर डूइंग राइट नाउ. एंड आई थिंक विच इज द बिगेस्ट चैलेंज दैट एजुकेशन इज फेसिंग, because reward circuit को implement करना is very typical, because that's where we get stuck. Because अगर आपका incentive उतना lucrative नहीं है, या सबके लिए lucrative नहीं है, या आप incentive को personalize नहीं कर पाते हैं, तो बच्चा शायद engage नहीं रहेगा. And when we have an attention span of only 8 seconds, then so we are in a world that we don't know. So let's see how do we actually face that. And oxytocin will help, but again, incentivization बहुत important है. Most important, teaching has to change, learning won't. Learning का pace वही रहेगा, हमारी understanding वही रहेगी, दिमाग का काम करने का तरीका वही रहेगा, but yes, content delivery, presentation has to change. Thank you so much, Karla sir, for sharing those amazing thoughts, and really amazing thoughts. Let's now hear it from the next guest. अब से लेके from the next guest, whoever comes in, अब से हम school leaders से सुनेंगे. So I would request कि दोनों हमारे जो special guests हैं, please listen to what they have to say and the kind of perspective that they bring to the table, क्योंकि वो रोजाना ये झगड़ा कर रहे हैं, अपने पेरेंट्स के साथ में भी, अपने बच्चों के साथ में भी, बिकॉज स्कूल ने पहली बार एक चीज एक्सपीरियंस करी है जो स्कूल एज एन आइडिया या स्कूल जो कॉन्सेप्ट है उसने अपनी जिंदगी में कभी एक्सपीरियंस नहीं किया, विच इज ट्रांसपेरेंसी. पूरा स्कूल 100% ट्रांसपेरेंट है, क्योंकि हर क्लास में कोई पेरेंट बैठा हुआ है, छोटी से छोटी कंटेंट डिलीवरी पे क्वेश्चन हो जाता है. सो दिस इज व्हाट द स्कूल्स आर एक्सपीरियंसिंग राइट नाउ. सो लेट्स हैव अ पर्सपेक्टिव फ्रॉम देम, हाउ डू दे थिंक that is tech really teaching. So I would like to invite Mr. Basanta Meti, Principal, Mother's Pride Academy, Bishnupur, Manipur. Sir, Basanta sir, over to you for the next 2 minutes.
Good evening, everybody. So it is so nice. Let me share my experience, how we are just conducting technology and how we are just using technology. So first of all, I would like to share that every challenge is opportunity. So we have to take our challenge to come over our COVID-19. During this time, we are using technology. So we use it here first TUT, teacher uses technology. Then second one is TISP. Technology involves student and parents. So these two things we are using here. What we are using every day, so we change our curriculum just according to that students' interest, because during this time we can't just go for that as a normal one. So ultimately, what do we have to do? We segregate the timing to use and to take the online classes using our technology. For example, from pre-nursery to KG standards, they are very small kids. We have to involve parents. So we keep the timing from 6 to 7 and sometimes from 7 to 8. Parents are to be involved. Now they are just enjoying. Children are enjoying. So for example, here, our small kid teachers, pre-nursery and nursery KG teachers, they're just doing the same thing, just making one environment of just presenting their rhymes. Then they say all the students to stand up, doing the same, just like the teacher they are involving. Then ultimately the parents are also happy. They never saw their children doing inside the class. Nowadays they're involving, they are involved in seeing their children and what they are doing in front of them. So this is the thing. Now the technology is helping. That's the way what we use and what I use. That one teacher uses the technology. Then again, technology involves the student as well as the parents. Now we are shifting. Now we are shifting the 4-1 classroom to the cloud. We are using very important one here. The experience teachers are having very good experience how to teach and how to handle the children in the four-sided world classroom. Now it is changed totally into the cloud. So ultimately what I'm speaking, what we are doing, far and far people, and they are coming from different places and now they are enjoying together. So ultimately what we have to do with using that technology, teachers are to be trained and teachers have to use. If we can use that student-centric approach, then the problem is solved. So now, because of this technology, we never thought that such type of the things would come in our life, right? So during the COVID time, only it is coming up. So we have to use our challenge as an opportunity. So ultimately, is that not really teaching, but they're helping and we are involving. So because of the technology, we are able to involve all the parents at one time. We can handle at.
Thank you so much, Basanta sir. The time was actually over. To again summarize what all you said, that curriculum changing depending on the student's interest, involving parents of pre-nursery because that's typically the right solution. And parent अभी अपने बच्चे को क्लास में enjoy करते हुए देख पा रहा है, तो आपके लिए typical schools के लिए CRM भी बहुत अच्छे से हो रहा है, that your customers are actually being made happy कि आप experience करो the product that you're actually paying for. Thank you so much, Basanta sir. And yes, you have used technology very well within your school. I would like to invite the next principal, Mr. Manoj Acharya, founder principal, Kathmandu Global School, Kathmandu, Nepal. Sir, over to you.
Thank you, Daksh. It took a lot of time, right, to connect. So good evening, everyone. And I think I can ask Daksh and Divya to be a little generous because we have lessened the number of panelists. I think you can be a little generous. Anyway, it is good to be here in the platform. We just have a very limited time and I'm worried like what to share and how to start with. But you see, like I totally agree with Ashish and Colonel Sudip, like you had very insightful things. Like what pulled me much was students, they have 8 seconds of span here and then right on the next 9 seconds, like we need to find out the program to engage them. That's what like we have been doing in school. Students, they have very short span of time. But the main thing that we're trying to discuss here today is take really teaching. I would give high five to Ashish. No, take is not really teaching us. We are using technology to teach. And you see, it's getting very difficult for developing countries. The countries, those who have already adopted these methods and technology in their teaching, they're doing far more better. But in terms of our like country in developing countries, where we were having the traditional or like a very, very different kind of teaching, where like the teacher speaks to students through different methods and medias in person. Now we are locked inside our home. And then we are trying to connect to our students. That is getting really tough. So that is what I think like Daksh is trying to pick it up. Are we really like teaching it? We are having a problem. We are facing a problem. There are few issues and there are few challenges that we are facing. That is what are hindering us from talking to our students and parents, in fact. Mostly like exposure to this tab, technology, is hindering us. It's very difficult to approach. If you see only 60 to 70% of the parents and students are able to connect to us in online classes. Either they don't have the useful resources or access to the internet. So these are the problems. And another thing is our teachers or our parents, we are not really equipped. We are trying our best, but we are not really equipped. If you see in terms of our school, we are one of the schools who started online classes very fast. We are very ahead. And then I have been talking in the different platforms about this one. And our teachers are doing wonderfully great. Thank you, Divya. And but finally, like you see, what we can conclude is technology can be very, very useful for us in the coming days. But the challenge is, are we really using it well or not? You see, how to use technology in the best way is a challenge for us now. But now we find there is no any alternatives and there is no any better option except for using technology to teach our students. So what can be the best method? We are like under the research and we are doing a lot of things to do this one. But I believe we have to use the technology to teach. And in the days to come, definitely we'll have something better to end up. And I actually do have a lot of things to share. And that's beside the regular time. I think there's a gentleman called Sunos Das Shrestha who even like commented on Colonel Sudip's presentation. So these guys are doing wonderful thing in Nepal, like how to help to do these things. So this is besides my regular time. Sorry, Divya. I was trying to connect to Daksh. So that I think if you can connect to Sunos, and then they are doing their own Karkhana and they are doing a wonderful job. And then these are the things what we are doing. So there is a Blub World, we have Karkhana, and we are using them and we are trying to do better. So finally, I have a great experience actually. I'm enjoying, our students are enjoying, we are learning, but we're trying to find out the best way to use the technology to teach. Yeah, but I won't even agree like it's really tech teaching. It's not. Thank you.
थैंक यू सो मच मनोज जी. टू समराइज, एक बहुत मेजर प्रॉब्लम सब जगह पे है कि टेक्नोलॉजी इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज में उतना नहीं है एंड टेक इंफ्रा में बहुत ज्यादा चैलेंजेस हो रहे हैं, क्योंकि बहुत बार ऐसा एक जूम कॉल बच्चा आ जाता है लेकिन इंटरनेट अनस्टेबल है, कभी डिवाइस अवेलेबल नहीं है. एंड अगर सारी चीजें अवेलेबल भी हैं और बच्चा सच में एक एफ्लुएंट स्कूल से है, तो इंडिया के एक अच्छा, आई वुड नॉट लाइक टू नेम द स्कूल, बट हाँ, उनके यहाँ बच्चों ने इतने डिजिटल प्रैंक्स कर दिए दैट दे आर अ वेरी एडवांस स्कूल इन इंडिया. दे आर इन अ सिटी, दे आर इन द सिटी ऑफ मुंबई, बट इतने डिजिटल प्रैंक्स हो गए कि उन्होंने ऑनलाइन क्लासेस ही बंद कर दी कि भाई यहाँ टेक इंफ्रा का प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, यहाँ प्रैंक्स का प्रॉब्लम है. सो स्पेक्ट्रम के दोनों एंड है जो बहुत एक्टिव है, कि एक एंड पे इंफ्रा ही नहीं है और दूसरे एंड पे प्रैंक्स बहुत ज्यादा है. सो बट यस, टेक्नोलॉजी के साथ नए तरीके का एक्सपीरियंस है. एंड यू आर वेरी राइट कि टेक को हम अच्छे से यूज कर रहे हैं कि नहीं, वो टूल तो मिल गया है, बट डू वी एक्चुअली नो हाउ टू यूज इट वेल? This is where we are all right now. Thank you so much, Manoj ji, for sharing those thoughts. I would now request Mr. Rohitash Fadudi, Principal, Buda International School, Jhunjhunu, Rajasthan. Before Rohitash ji speaks, I would like to say हम हर कॉल में कोशिश करते हैं that we get the variety of geographies together. तो यहाँ पे I hope कि आपको शायद इंडिया के ईस्टर्न पार्ट से लेकर के वेस्टर्न इंडिया तक and नॉर्थ से लेकर सदर्न इंडिया तक सब मिल जाएंगे, and even people from South Asia. So over to Rohitash ji.
Good evening, everybody. I've been hearing the opinion of different people from different corners, and Dux is very much right here speaking that we really got, when I got just checked it up, I found that yeah, the people from different parts of country, people from different background are also there. As already he has introduced, we fall from a little remote area, and the topic is very appropriate. It's technology teaching. Yes, as a principal, I agree that technology is teaching us a lot of things. Through technology, we got to know that there are certain problems with even our staff members, that they need to get equipped more for certain things. Like there are different versions of online teaching to the children. It can be through the app also, it can be through the WhatsApp group also, it can be through the Zoom also. And there are many other kind of modes through which we communicate with our children related to their syllabus, related to their content in the books. What we found generally here is that in remote areas, connectivity is one of the issues. Number two, some of our teachers, or maybe in other schools also, we find not equipped well for, communicating certain things to the children. And the biggest problem I would share with all the educationists and all the people there in this particular group as a panelist, that children are making misuse of even the kind of equipments given to them by their parents for learning. It could be the mobile phone, it can be laptop, If the time required for them to be online is for 2 hours, they are spending 6 hours, 7 hours. And in that, it's not only that they are getting connected with educational purpose, they are getting connected with some other purposes also which are not good for children. As we keep reading so many articles there in the newspaper, we keep reading so many opinions through this WhatsApp universe of our friends, that children are getting addicted also for this. So technology, in fact, is teaching us that sometime how much careful the parents are there. As rightly said by Colonel Sudip also, that parents ka rehta hai ki it is the school whose responsibility lies greater. But here, when online classes are going on, when technology has taken over the classrooms, the greater responsibility of monitoring the children lies with the parents. Whereas the parents still we find are not either sometimes that efficient, capable, or sometimes they are not able to do. So it's a big challenge for all of us. Yeah, Divi, I can see that my time is left very less now. And there we tried also to have online parents teacher meeting also, offline also, by maintaining some social distance and guiding the parents. Parents sometimes are not even known that how much their children are doing, how much they are watching. When we prepared the sheet in the parents teacher meeting, that out of 20 lectures or 50 lectures, these many lectures only have been seen. So they were really very surprised. So it is definitely technology teaching. Yes, Divi, I'll get over within just 10-15 seconds. So I think that we all really learned a lot of things through the parent teacher meeting and interaction with the children and parents, that we still need to do a lot. And classroom cannot be replaced with technology, but technology has taught us a lot of things and will keep teaching. Thank you everyone for listening. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Duty sir. And tech is teaching a lot of new things, and technology upgradation teachers का अब critical हो गया, because knowledge drivers वही हैं. And over exposure to technology is the right thing right now, कि वो सच में हो गया कि बच्चे को आप एक बार online ले आए तो decision making उसके हाथ में, आपके हाथ में नहीं है. So जब decision making उसके पास चलेगी तो उसको हर aspect में देखेगा अपनी समझ के हिसाब से. And parents के ऊपर भी extra responsibility आ गई to actually monitor the children. And which is where अब पेरेंट्स की कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग भी चाहिए कि आप अपने बच्चे को मॉनिटर कैसे करें, बिकॉज केवल अगेन फियर सर्किट काम करने से नहीं होगा. सो लेट्स सी हाउ वी एक्चुअली डू दैट, कि पेरेंट्स की इनेबलमेंट कैसे करते हैं हम लोग. आई वुड रिक्वेस्ट द नेक्स्ट गेस्ट मिस के विजयलक्ष्मी, फॉर्मर प्रिंसिपल मार्ग नवज्योति विद्यालय, चेंगलपट्टू, तमिलनाडु. मैम, ओवर टू यू. You can unmute your audio.
Good evening, everyone. Very nice and very happy to be in this platform. Is tech really teaching? Tech is not self-prepared. Teaching is self-prepared. But we have to be very clear how to teach. That is very important. As we are in the current trend of COVID-19 affected the whole world, we have to depend on technology. There is no other way. As we have faced so many issues regarding the parent complaining on the learning is not proper, and we have so much of media issues and network problem. But one thing is very clear, however, teaching is not stopped. Communication is not stopped. So we have to make the technology very useful and to be very clear how to use that. If we have this clear idea, we can face it, all the problems, and we can have the solution also. One of my parents said that, I feel grumbled by balancing the household work and the online classes. I couldn't make it proper. My children are suffering very much. But at the same time, she said that it is very transparent to see that what is happening in the classroom teaching and what is happening in the online teaching. So they felt happy of this also. However, one thing is very clear. We cannot depend on technology, but we have to use the technology to make effective education. That's my word. Thank you.
Thank you, Vijay Lakshmi ma'am. पेरेंट्स की कंप्लेनिंग से फाइनली एक्चुअली कंटिन्यूइंग टीचिंग, क्योंकि रोजाना कंप्लेंट्स का नंबर बढ़ गया इतनी ट्रांसपेरेंसी के साथ में, तो उसको हैंडल करना एक चैलेंज हो गया है. वी आल्सो हैव कैप्टन आयुष जैन, प्रिंसिपल यश.
बेसिकली जो टेक्निकल टीचिंग है आज कोविड-19 के हिसाब से बहुत ज्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट है, कि इसके अलावा कोई ऑप्शन नहीं है हमारे स्कूल्स के पास. और इस पे सबसे बड़ी बात है कि पेरेंट्स के अपोजिशन बहुत ज्यादा है कि ऑनलाइन हम पढ़ नहीं पाएंगे, हमारे बच्चे वैसे स्कूल में आने के बाद बच्चे पढ़ते नहीं है, तो यहाँ पे कैसे पढ़ेंगे. तो यहाँ पे हमको पेरेंट्स को कम्युनिकेट करना है कि ये कितना बेनिफिशियल हो सकता है, क्योंकि इसके अलावा कोई ऑप्शन नहीं. और इसमें ना पेरेंट्स की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी ज्यादा बनती है, उसमें पेरेंट्स का ज्यादा बनता है कि वो उसमें बच्चे पे फोकस करे, उनकी पढ़ाई पे फोकस करवाए, इसमें रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी बढ़ जाती है। और मेन चीज है कि पेरेंट्स को ये टेंशन है इस टाइम पे कि फीस कलेक्शन के ऊपर, कि ये स्कूल टीचिंग जो करवा रहा है ऑनलाइन के नाम से केवल फीस कलेक्ट कर रहा है, स्कूल क्वालिटी देना नहीं चाहता, वो केवल फीस कलेक्शन के लिए वर्क कर रहा है, जबकि बिल्कुल ऐसा नहीं है। ये चीज हम लोग केवल अपनी एजुकेशन को कंटिन्यू करने के लिए, राइट टू लर्न के लिए वर्क कर रहे हैं। एक पूरा स्टाफ, टीचिंग स्टाफ, सारे टीचर्स, सारी फैकल्टी, सारे स्कूल्स केवल अपनी क्वालिटी देना चाहते हैं। केवल थोड़ा डिफिकल्ट इस टाइम पे क्वालिटी देना, जो प्रेजेंट हम फिजिकल क्लास में दे पाते हैं वो क्वालिटी हम चाहें तो वैसी क्वालिटी इसमें पॉसिबल नहीं ऑनलाइन के नाम पे, बट वी आर ट्राइंग टू बेस्ट। तो हमको यहाँ पे पेरेंट्स को ज्यादा अवेयर करने की जरूरत है।
एब्सोल्युटली, फीस एक बहुत बड़ा चैलेंज है जो कंटिन्यूअसली फेस कर ही रहे हैं सभी तरफ, सारे ही स्कूल्स, बिकॉज पेरेंट उसके ऊपर क्वेश्चन कर रहा है और वो क्वेश्चन का जवाब किसी के पास नहीं है। एंड बहुत सारे स्कूल्स बहुत सारी मेहनत कर रहे हैं ताकि दे कैन अगेन ब्रिंग थिंग्स बैक टू द ट्रैक। बट एक चैलेंज ये है कि इस समय पर बहुत ज्यादा आपको इस पूरे इकोसिस्टम को सिंपैथी या एम्पैथी सिखानी होगी, आपको बार बार बात करनी पड़ेगी। अ लॉट ऑफ कम्युनिकेशन हैज टू हैपन। एक स्कूल को अपने पुराने डेफिनेशन में वापस जाना पड़ेगा। अब स्कूल केवल एक बच्चे को नहीं पढ़ाएगा, स्कूल अपने आसपास की पूरी कम्युनिटी को पढ़ाना पड़ेगा, तब जाके यू विल बी एबल टू एक्चुअली गिव देम अ डाइजेशन ऑफ द आइडिया ऑफ द न्यू स्कूल। बिकॉज द वे वी अंडरस्टैंड द स्कूल, द मॉडल, द आइडिया, द वे इट वर्क, दैट हैज ऑलरेडी बीन ऑब्लिटरेटेड, दैट डज नॉट एग्जिस्ट। क्योंकि आप जो नया स्कूल खोलेंगे उसको पूरी नई डेफिनेशन चाहिए, केवल 30% बच्चों के साथ में, with teachers wearing a mask, जब आपके expressions या gestures काम ही नहीं करेंगे, so what you will be reopening will be an institution that will need a redefinition। एक बहुत अच्छे एक इंस्टीट्यूट है कलिंगा इंस्टीट्यूट, जहां पर करीबन 50,000 ट्राइबल बच्चों को पढ़ाया जाता है विदाउट चार्जिंग एनी फीस इन उड़ीसा। उनके प्रिंसिपल ने थोड़े दिन पहले इसी प्लेटफॉर्म पे आके एक बड़ी अच्छी चीज कही थी कि एज अ स्कूल we are supposed to bring the society together, we are supposed to define the society, but we are right now expected to teach a paradox, social distancing। तो सबको डिस्टेंट करके आप एक सोसाइटी को साथ कैसे लाएंगे इज अगेन समथिंग दैट यू हैव टू थिंक ऑन। एंड आई थिंक आप लोग अब आने वाले समय में सोसाइटी के इम्यूनिटी हॉटस्पॉट्स बनेंगे, जैसे कोविड के डिजीज हॉटस्पॉट्स हैं, आप लोग इम्यूनिटी हॉटस्पॉट्स बनेंगे, क्योंकि सोसाइटी के सबसे अच्छे ब्रांड एम्बेसडर्स आप ही के पास हैं, जो सबसे जल्दी किसी मैसेज को पूरी सोसाइटी में परकोलेट करा सकते हैं। So I think the power of a school has changed. So let's see how do you use it to the benefit of everybody. Thank you so much, people, for sharing your thoughts. For concluding this talk, because time is nearly over, I would request Ashish ji for the concluding lines so that this talk could come to a very nice closure. Ashish ji, over to you.
So, Daksh, I think this is very interesting for at least a person like me to hear the differing views, right? And, when it comes to, people mention infrastructure, absolutely true. And, but we're going to have to overcome it, right? With the kids being at home, we have to come up, with solutions on the infrastructure. We have to come up with solutions for the children misusing the tablets or the devices that are being handed to them. But I think overall, I think everybody agrees that the edtech space is here to stay, right? Technology will be one of the mediums, and again, I keep on using that word, is one of the mediums to teach our young kids as we move forward. There are no right or wrong solutions. And like I think everybody mentioned, teachers are at the core heart of that. And we can't lose sight of that. I think a lot of people feel that teachers are being replaced or the technology will take over. I think that's just a completely wrong assumption.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Ashish ji. So, jab se we started this series of web talks, we started to say one thing to every attendee who ever came to this platform. If you are in education, you just got a new responsibility. आपके फार्मर्स आपके खाने का ध्यान रख रहे हैं, मिलिट्री सेफ्टी का ध्यान रख रही है, डॉक्टर्स आपकी मेडिकल हेल्थ का ध्यान रख रहे हैं, टीचर्स के लिए अब एक नया काम आ गया है। अभी तक आपको केवल पढ़ाना था, अब आपको उसके साथ एक नया काम ये करना है that you have to create the knowledge bank that the world would need in the future। क्योंकि पूरी दुनिया आपको या आपके किए हुए काम को ढूंढ रही होगी जब ऐसी कोई पेंडेमिक अगर वापस आती है, और वापस ना भी आए तो एजुकेशन अब इतनी बदल जाएगी इतने से समय में कि नॉलेज बैंक नया चाहिएगा। So try building a habit of writing an observation paper every day. भले ही 200 सवा 200 वर्ड्स लिखिए, लेकिन लिखिए, बिकॉज कागज पन्ने मेमोरीज नहीं भूलेंगे, आप लोग भूल जाएंगे। And ये documents typically will become the base for the next innovation that the world would need. So I hope you enjoyed the last 20-30 minutes. If you did, and if you want to attend the future sessions, you can open your audio, say a big yes, and thank you so much for attending the Blub World Web Talks 63rd edition. Thank you, people. Namaste.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Daksh.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.